that I can't do anything about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow.
Willie Nelson stands as one of the most iconic figures in country music history. Known as the Red-Headed Stranger, this outlaw country legend completely transformed the music industry with his distinctive guitar playing style and his rebellious approach to the Nashville establishment. For more than 70 years, Willie has followed his own unique path, creating music that defied conventions and challenged the status quo in both Nashville and throughout the broader music world. However, beneath Willie's famously laid-back and peaceful public image, there allegedly existed a more complicated personality when it came to his professional relationships with other musicians. While Willie is widely celebrated for his easygoing nature and his advocacy for peace and love, sources have claimed over the years that he held surprisingly strong and sometimes negative opinions about certain guitarists. According to these claims, when Willie disliked someone in the music industry, he didn't keep those feelings hidden. His simple, jazzy picking style stood in contrast to many of the flashy and technical approaches that became popular in rock music, and he reportedly developed serious philosophical disagreements with players whose styles represented everything he opposed. The alleged tensions between Willie and various guitarists weren't just about personal conflicts or petty disagreements. Instead, these rumored feuds supposedly reflected deeper philosophical battles about what guitar playing should represent and accomplish. Willie's approach to music emphasized serving the song rather than showing off technical abilities, and he allegedly resented musicians who played primarily to feed their egos or impress audiences with their virtuosity, rather than creating genuine emotional connections through their music. One of the most surprising alleged feuds involved Ted Nugent, the controversial musician known as the Motor City Madman. According to sources, Willie and Ted supposedly despised each other for reasons that combined both political and musical differences, creating one of the strangest conflicts in the country and rock music worlds. Claims suggest that Willie found Ted's aggressive, loud guitar playing style to be obnoxious and completely lacking in genuine feeling or soul. The allegation was that Willie believed Ted's heavy metal approach actually destroyed the natural beauty of stringed instruments, transforming music into what he considered angry noise rather than art. The supposed tension between Willie and Ted allegedly extended beyond just musical disagreements. Their well-known political differences reportedly made the situation even worse. Willie, famous for his liberal political views and his longtime advocacy for marijuana legalization, allegedly couldn't tolerate Ted's conservative positions and obsession with gun rights. According to industry insiders, the conflict supposedly reached a breaking point at a music festival where both artists were scheduled to perform. Sources claim that Willie refused to even tune his guitar in the same room as Ted, and that he told crew members Ted's energy was toxic and made it impossible for genuine musicianship to exist in his presence. The alleged divide between them represented two completely opposite approaches to both music and life. Another supposed rivalry involved Yngwie Malmsteen, the Swedish guitarist famous for his neoclassical shredding style and incredibly fast playing technique. Willie Nelson allegedly thought that Yngwie's lightning-fast technical abilities were nothing more than empty showboating that lacked any real emotional connection to music. Sources have claimed that Willie dismissed Yngwie's playing as mere gymnastics rather than genuine guitar work. The allegation was that Willie believed playing millions of notes per second meant absolutely nothing if none of those notes made listeners feel anything genuine or touched their hearts in a meaningful way. According to witnesses, Willie supposedly encountered Yngwie warming up backstage at a European music festival. These sources claim that Willie shook his head in apparent disapproval and muttered something about young musicians before refusing to acknowledge Yngwie's presence at all. Willie allegedly saw Yngwie as representing everything wrong with modern guitar culture's obsession with speed and technical prowess over emotional expression. Industry insiders reported that Willie supposedly declined opportunities to participate in several all-star guitar compilation albums, specifically because Yngwie was involved in those projects. Interestingly, the contempt was allegedly entirely one-sided, as Yngwie probably had no idea that Willie Nelson existed outside of his classical metal music world. The alleged feud with Slash from Guns N' Roses supposedly centered around questions of authenticity versus rock and roll theatrics and image. Willie allegedly called Slash simply "that guy who hides behind a top hat." Sources claim that Willie believed Slash, his entire public persona, was manufactured by record labels specifically to sell leather jackets and posters to rebellious teenagers who were searching for identity and coolness. According to rumors, Willie and Slash crossed paths at a recording studio in Los Angeles, and Willie allegedly refused to shake Slash's hand. Sources said Willie told him that real outlaws didn't need costumes or gimmicks to prove their rebellious credentials to anyone. Willie supposedly disliked how Slash became the face of guitar heroism during the 1980s. He allegedly told friends that Slash's bluesy rock guitar solos were merely derivative copies of better players from decades earlier, and that Slash lacked truly original ideas of his own. This supposed rivalry reflected Willie's alleged belief that authenticity in music came from substance rather than carefully crafted image and stage presence. Perhaps one of the most interesting alleged conflicts involved Eddie Van Halen, the revolutionary guitarist who popularized finger-tapping techniques. Willie Nelson supposedly respected Eddie's technical innovations and his contributions to expanding what was possible on the guitar. However, he allegedly hated how Eddie's influence caused an entire generation of guitarists to prioritize flashy technique over genuine feeling in their playing. Sources claim that Willie said that Eddie's famous two-handed tapping technique was admittedly a neat party trick, but that it didn't represent real musicianship in the deeper sense. The allegation was that Willie believed Eddie opened a metaphorical Pandora's box in the guitar world. After Eddie's innovations became famous, supposedly every young guitarist started thinking that technical ability and tricks mattered more than solid songwriting or emotional expression in music. According to rumors, Willie attended a Van Halen concert during the early 1980s, but left after only 3 songs. Witnesses claim that Willie told his tour manager that all the jumping around on stage and guitar acrobatics gave him a headache and actually hurt his soul. Willie allegedly blamed Eddie for creating an entire generation of imitators who were obsessed with sounding impressive and technically proficient rather than focusing on sounding genuinely good and emotionally honest. Kirk Hammett, from the heavy metal band Metallica, also supposedly drew Willie's disapproval. Willie allegedly thought Kirk's thrash metal approach to guitar represented chaotic garbage rather than real music. This wasn't simply a generational divide between an older country musician and a younger metal player. Sources claim that Willie actively disliked Kirk's entire musical philosophy and everything it represented. Willie reportedly said that Kirk's palm-muted riffing technique and rapid-fire guitar solos were just organized confusion that lacked any real melody or beauty. He allegedly told journalists that metal guitarists like Kirk had forgotten that musical instruments should create pleasant sounds that people enjoy hearing rather than assaulting listeners' ears with aggressive noise. Sources said Willie believed that Kirk's commercial success actually proved that young audiences had lost their appreciation for genuine artistry in music. He supposedly told friends that while Kirk could certainly play fast, he couldn't play a beautiful ballad that would make grandmothers cry at wedding ceremonies. The philosophical gap between Willie's country and blues sensibilities and Kirk's thrash metal approach was allegedly too wide to ever be bridged. Steve Vai, known for his technical virtuosity and complicated compositions, supposedly represented everything Willie opposed in modern guitar playing. Willie allegedly viewed Steve as the perfect example of overthinking music and destroying its natural, instinctive beauty through mathematical precision and excessive technical planning. Sources claim that Willie dismissed Steve's music as robots playing guitars with no human warmth or genuine emotion. The allegation was that Willie believed Steve's perfect technique and complex time signatures actually removed the imperfections that made country and blues music emotionally powerful and relatable to regular people.
According to rumors, Willie heard Steve Vai's instrumental albums and told his band members that they represented his absolute worst nightmare for where guitar music could go. Witnesses claimed Willie said he would rather quit music entirely than sound like a computer program pretending to have real feelings and emotions. Willie allegedly believed that Steve spent too much time practicing scales and studying technique when he should have been out living life and gathering the real experiences that make music meaningful. Sources said Willie told interviewers that genuine soul cannot be taught in music schools and that all of Steve's lessons and practice couldn't purchase authentic emotion. Joe Satriani, another instrumental guitar virtuoso, allegedly faced similar criticisms from Willie. Willie supposedly couldn't comprehend why anyone would want to listen to entire albums of guitar music without any vocals, viewing Joe's entire career as pointless musical self-indulgence. Sources claim Willie said Joe's instrumental records were music created for guitar nerds rather than actual regular people who enjoy songs. He allegedly believed that removing vocals from music eliminated the human connection that made songs meaningful and worth listening to repeatedly. According to rumors, Willie was once asked to contribute to a tribute album honoring instrumental guitarists. Insiders claimed that Willie responded by saying he would rather honor musicians who actually communicated real messages through their playing instead of simply showing off their technical abilities. Willie supposedly told friends that Joe represented everything pretentious about modern guitar culture and that Joe's albums were essentially homework assignments disguised as entertainment, forcing listeners to appreciate technique rather than allowing them to simply enjoy beautiful melodies. One of the most shocking alleged rivalries involved Eric Clapton, who many consider one of the greatest guitarists in rock history. Willie Nelson supposedly resented Eric's guitar god status and thought his blues credibility was overrated and built on appropriating black music without providing proper acknowledgement to its origins. Sources claim Willie said Eric's towering reputation exceeded his actual contributions to music. The allegation was that Willie believed Eric received far too much credit for playing blues techniques and licks that black musicians had invented decades earlier but never received proper recognition or financial compensation for creating. According to rumors, Willie and Eric were both invited to perform at a Blues Legends concert. Industry insiders claimed that Willie declined to participate specifically because Eric was scheduled as the headlining act. Willie allegedly told the concert organizers that the real blues legends weren't being given equal billing or proper respect at the event. Willie supposedly also thought that Eric's constant changes in guitar tone and his obsession with signature model guitars proved that he cared more about equipment and gear than about genuine soul in his playing. Sources said Willie believed that you only needed one beat-up guitar if you truly had something meaningful to say through your music. Ritchie Blackmore from Deep Purple and Rainbow also allegedly drew Willie's strong disapproval. Willie supposedly despised Ritchie's classical music influences and thought that combining Johann Sebastian Bach's compositions with rock music was pretentious nonsense that served nobody well. Sources claim Willie dismissed Ritchie's neoclassical approach as showing off for people who think they're smarter than everyone else. He allegedly said that Ritchie's obsession with Renaissance fairs and his tendency to wear medieval costumes on stage made guitar playing look ridiculous and alienated regular working-class people from enjoying the music. According to rumors, Willie refused to perform at a music festival in Europe because Ritchie's band was scheduled to play the same weekend. Witnesses claimed that Willie told the promoters he wouldn't even be on the same continent as guitar players who dressed up like wizards on stage. Willie allegedly believed that Ritchie's use of classical arpeggios and scales betrayed rock and roll's working-class roots and origins. Sources said Willie firmly believed that music should connect with truck drivers and farmers rather than trying to impress classical music snobs who traditionally looked down on country music. Perhaps most controversially, the #1 spot in Willie's alleged guitar dislikes went to Jimi Hendrix himself. Sources claim that Willie Nelson had serious problems with Jimi's psychedelic experimentation and his effects-heavy playing style that came to dominate guitar culture in the late 1960s. Willie respected Jimi's raw, natural talent and acknowledged his abilities, but he supposedly hated how Jimi influenced an entire generation of guitarists to rely heavily on distortion, wah-wah pedals, and feedback effects instead of focusing on clean, honest playing that let the pure notes speak for themselves. The allegation was that Willie said Jimi's famous Woodstock performance was essentially noise pollution that confused destruction with genuine innovation. According to rumors, Willie and Jimi were both in Nashville during the late 1960s and nearly worked together on a musical collaboration. Industry insiders claim that Willie backed out of the project after hearing Jimi's elaborate equipment setup, reportedly saying he couldn't make real music alongside what he called electric chaos and amplifier torture. Sources said Willie believed that Jimi's legacy actually ruined the guitar as an instrument by making effects pedals and processing more important than the actual notes being played. Willie allegedly told friends that after Jimi Hendrix became famous, every guitarist thought they needed a dozen effects pedals and massive Marshall amplifier stacks cranked to ear-bleeding volumes just to be taken seriously. This supposed criticism of Hendrix represents perhaps the most controversial of all Willie's alleged guitar rivalries, given Jimi's status as one of the most universally respected and influential guitarists in music history. The claim suggests that Willie saw Jimi's innovations not as progress, but as leading guitar music down a path that valued sonic experimentation over musical purity and emotional honesty. Throughout all these alleged rivalries and conflicts, certain consistent themes emerge about Willie Nelson's supposed philosophy regarding guitar playing and music in general. According to these sources and rumors, Willie apparently believed that music should serve emotional expression and human connection rather than technical displays of ability. He allegedly valued simplicity, authenticity, and playing from the heart over showmanship, speed, classical training, or reliance on electronic effects and elaborate equipment. Willie's own playing style emphasized melodic phrasing, jazz-influenced chords, and serving the song rather than drawing attention to the guitarist's technical prowess. These alleged feuds and tensions, if true, would reveal a more complex and opinionated side of Willie Nelson than his peaceful public image might suggest. They would show a musician with strong convictions about what guitar playing should accomplish and a willingness to reject approaches that conflicted with his artistic values, regardless of how popular or commercially successful those other musicians became. Whether these specific claims about Willie's opinions are accurate or simply exaggerated rumors designed for entertainment purposes remains unclear, but they paint an interesting picture of potential philosophical divisions within the guitar world across different musical genres and generations.